Hello, Idy.
Hello, Rosemary.
Now, when I first came to St Albans now nearly 7 years ago, I knew you as the senior steward at Marlborough Road Methodist Church. And then after you stopped being that, I think you were persuaded by someone not too far away from here to be a circuit steward for a few years. But people sharing in this act of worship this morning at St Peter's and at Marlborough Road will also know you as the person who in 2016 began Holiday at Home at Marlborough Road. And sadly this year, because of the circumstances, we won't be able to have Holiday at Home at Marlborough Road. But tell me, Idy, how long have you been worshipping at Marlborough Road Methodist Church?
30 years this month.
30 years this
Yes.
month, gosh. And what brought you to St Albans?
We moved to St. Albans on the recommendation of a friend when I was expecting my second child and we wanted to move out of London. So that was how we ended up in St. Albans.
And so young
My
Toby
young
was
Toby
born
was born in St. Albans.
Albans.
One of the last babies to be born before they closed down the maternity unit in St. Albans Hospital.
Well.
Yes.
Now, I know in your working life you've worked in a few hospitals as part of your dentistry training, and then you became a fellow of the Royal School of Dentistry.
Royal College of Surgeons of Ireland and Royal College of Surgeons of Glasgow. So I had my fellowship in those two Royal Colleges.
Right. So then, after working in hospitals, you decided to go into general practice as a dentist. And what year was that?
Yes, I left hospital and went into general dentistry in 1997, so I could be more stable and have time with the family, because hospital work meant you had to move from post to post, and I didn't want to do that. So.
You've done enough of that. So, okay, anyhow, lockdown. I wonder, Idy, if you could tell me, what has lockdown been like for you and your family?
It's been kind of a mixed bag. The most difficult part has been not being able to see the children, especially our grandchild, as often as we normally do, because since he has been born, I gave up working on Wednesdays so I could spend Wednesdays with him, and not being able to do that has been a bit difficult because both our children live in London, so we didn't no chance of even seeing them to move to them anywhere. So that was the most difficult part, and also the fact that my mother-in-law, who was just visiting on holiday for a couple of weeks, ended up being locked down with us and not be able to go back. And during the period as well, she became ill and ended up in Watford General Hospital, not COVID related. So taking her to hospital during the lockdown period and leaving her there, we couldn't visit, we couldn't even talk to her, because when we dropped her, we weren't allowed to leave any personal effect. That was a bit tough, but thank God she recovered and came back after about two and a half weeks. So it has been, but we found new ways of communicating by having Zoom Sunday afternoon with the children. So that was good.
Good. And then I wonder what lockdown's been like for you in your professional capacity. Did you have to attend to any emergencies?
Yes. When lockdown started and the government asked us to close the dental practice and only open for emergencies only, which they changed the definition of what emergency was. It wasn't just a normal thing that you come to like, oh, my crown is off or something. It had to be serious infection or pain that cannot be controlled by any other means. I had to take calls and give advice over the phone. A number of times I had to go in to give people antibiotics, and I had to go in a few times to actually see people face to face during the lockdown, because there were people that I had no choice but to go and see. And the urgent dental care hubs that the government was going to set up were still not up and running. So these were people who had to be treated, pain or not. So, I mean, lockdown or not. So,
Lockdown or not, yeah, that was tough.
That was tough.
Yeah, and now dentists have been allowed officially back to work.
Yeah.
What's work like for you now?
The new normal, as we call it.
Normal,
Yeah,
yes.
the new normal, as we're calling it, is totally different. It has changed dentistry a lot. Infection control has always been something that dentists are credited for, because we've always assumed that anybody coming to the practice is infected, so we had to be very careful. But coronavirus, COVID-19, is a different ball game, because we're actually working in the area where it is believed that the virus settle, and we have to have close contact. So it means a different level of PPE for us to wear. And by the time you finish wearing all this and you're working in close contact, it's hot. And having to put a mask on for hours and hours on end. And also, the way we see patients now, we have to kind of see someone. If they have a filling, for example, we leave the room for 1 hour before we can see somebody else in there. So it means the number of people you can see in a day completely reduced. Income that you can generate is reduced, and it's different. It is different. So it's quite a difficult time for a lot of dentists. And also the risk assessment that you're exposed, because we have to risk assess not just the patients coming in, but even people who work within the practice. I do have colleagues who, for reason of likelihood of them catching coronavirus because of their vulnerability, have actually decided they're going to pack it in. They're not working again. And also the worry about the financial implication of what the new way of working is going to have is making a few people worry that maybe the business will not be sustainable. So it is a difficult time for us as a profession. But we still have to be there to provide the service and the care.
And tell me, Idy, how has your faith sustained you during lockdown?
I don't know where I would be without my faith. Because when the pandemic started and the lockdown started, I went through a lot of emotions. The worry that, would I have a business to go to at the end of it? What's going to happen to my friends and family? But during this time, I've seen God at work firsthand. I've had close friends who actually who were ill, seriously ill with COVID-19, that they thought they would die. And I've seen the power of prayers and them being healed. And to me, I don't know how we could have coped without the faith that we have. So it has been a time as well for faith to mature. That's the way I can put it as well. Because with time in our hands, not running around, being busy, I've had more time to reflect on God's word. I've had more time to study, and I've had more time to grow my faith during this time. So that's been
Thank you,
wonderful.
Idy. And just one last question.
Yes.
How can we pray for you and all those involved in dentistry?
I would like you to pray for people in my profession who are worried, who are anxious for various reasons, and that God will give them peace and the protection that they need. Because some have decided not to come back straight away because they still don't feel comfortable that it's safe enough to come back. And those who, because of age, existing illnesses, and ethnicity especially, are seen as those who are likely to be affected strongly by COVID-19, and they're worried that should they go back or should they just stop, just to reduce their chances of catching the virus. So please pray for God's protection and peace for all of us, not just people in dentistry, I get for the whole world, really. Thank you.